What is up, guys? It is the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm here with
Gershwan
in another crazy episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get those questions first.
And that is what?
One of our subscribers did. I can't pronounce your name because I don't know how to read your name. Is there a way to travel faster than light without using the warp? Yes.
Yeah. A lot of races have that, actually. The Star-Tide Nexus is a great kind of representation of that for the Tau. It's all based on technology. However, something went wrong and they got put into the warp. So maybe the machinations of that Star-Tide Nexus was actually warp-driven to a point, which is why they ended up in the warp, and now everybody that went into there is all crazy, killing crew, killing Vespids, but that is something that is possible, at least for the Tau.
Yeah, the way that they explained it from the lore, I remember it's like skipping a stone across the pond. Like the stone actually never dips into the warp, or dips into the water. It kind of just skips, and it's in one of those skips that the craziness happened.
Most likely it was Zeech, because they saw like psychedelic colors and creatures with like no shape,
like what you just heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Necrons are so advanced because they've been around for 60 million years. Is it million or trillion? It's probably million. But they don't really have to worry about the laws of physics. It always seems that whenever a Necron ship arrives, it's like traveling faster than faster than the speed of light, and then it decelerates slowly, and then next thing you know, like it's right in front of, like it's a really trippy like physics bending technology that the Necron tier developed.
To me, it reminds me kind of like Star Wars. Are we going into hyperdrive?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then there is the Tyranids, right?
The Tyranids, yeah. Their ships literally kind of rip the fabric of time and like crunch it together to move between place to place.
Yeah, what they do is they send a smaller ship called a Narval into whatever sector they want to travel to, or wherever the Gene Stealer cult is like emitting their signal, and then they use, it's almost like a tether, like it grabs the fabric of space-time, and then it, like you said, bends it. It's like when you're on your bed and you want to grab your controller and you start like scrunching the fabric so that it brings the controller forward. The controller is a narwhal and you are the Hive Fleet. And that's about it, right?
Yeah, I mean...
The rest is like webway.
There's other ways, yeah. Like you said, the Eldar got the webway. Dark Eldar, Harlequins, they do all that. But yeah.
Good question. Next one.
This one is by Eustace Bag. If you were the Orc gods, which one of you would be Gork and which one of you would be Mork?
I think I would be brutally cunning. No. Yeah. Yeah.
I always thought you'd be cunningly brutal.
Yeah. Either one.
It doesn't matter.
No. Next question comes from Lord Grey Knight. Can one Chaos God travel to another Chaos God's region? And if they decide, can they kill each other?
It's always a huge war between the Chaos Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that the demons are the Chaos God, or essence of the Chaos Gods. Mm-hmm. So in a way, yeah, they're constantly traveling to each other's realms and fighting, because where the realms touch, it's almost like, you know, they are the embodiments of the gods fighting each other.
Right. There's always they call it the Wheel of Chaos, because let's say Slaanesh gets her turf, taken from Khorne, but then she secretly has some of Nurgle's gardens to her now, and it's just a constant cycle of chaos.
Yep.
There's no real winner, no real loser, and it just goes on forever.
Until the God Emperor arrives. Yeah. Next question comes from Reject X7. Could the Blood Bowl work in 40K universe?
I mean, I guess you could have like a planetary governor who's like so rich and powerful. He has like, I guess kind of like a coliseum, but like instead of fighting, it's football.
Yeah, or you can have the Dark Eldar, their whole thing is that they have battle pits within Camera, and like aliens from all over the galaxy get sent there, and then they fight there, and then they also fight like the Dark Eldar themselves. So instead of fighting, it could, like you said, just be football.
Yeah. Why football?
Yeah.
Why not? David Dixon. Do you think that Forge World will ever bring back their discontinued minis? Or are they doomed to be lost to the privately run 3D printed copies? That's what I really hate. Forge World puts out really awesome minis, in my opinion. Sometimes even better than 40K, especially when it comes to the Marines. I love the Horus Heresy Marines way better than even like the Primaris. But anyway, yeah, they're getting rid of like a whole bunch of things that, you know, back in like 5th edition, they were really awesome. They might have not been awesome rule-wise, but they looked awesome. Like the Krutox, the Krutox Riders, they're going to be gone, and that sucks.
Yeah. The 3D printed stuff is really cool too, though. They have Kroot Hounds, 3D printed Kroot Hounds, that some guy online I found, like he got commissioned to sculpt it, and they look really awesome. They look almost Forge World quality. I need to buy like a big ass 3D printer. Just make all of that. A One Mind Syndicate miniature company where we sell female space marines, female orcs. Yeah. Next question.
This is a pretty cool name. Starlight Eater. Do orcs poop? They don't have reproductive organs, but you know, they gotta be eating stuff. So is there like a waste port somewhere? Do they cough up bones and teeth like an owl? Or are they just so genetically badass they just render every nutrient from everything that goes inside of them?
So they don't poop, they sweat. In the lore, it says that you will always smell an orc before you see him. The starter set that came with like the Space Wolves and the Orcs, they relied really heavily on that in the lore, the story. Like the Space Marines were stranded and they smelled the orcs coming their way, so they were able to prepare. So their sweat is so disgusting because it's the way that they get rid of their nastiness.
I'm just lucky we're not like that. Like imagine like you're all sweaty and then you go to rub the sweat off your brow and you just have like a shit stain across.
Yeah, your pores would just emit poop.
Oh, your pores would be super clogged up.
Yeah, that's gross, man. What is sweat? Is it just like... But what's in sweat, I should say.
There's like a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The sebaceous glands of the skin produce oils, and sweat kind of gets all the gunk out of there, so...
Gross.
Epidermis, hypodermis, and the dermis.
Next question.
Who would win in a fight, asks Brian Brown, between an Imperial Knight or a Dreadnought? Generally, Imperial Knights, I feel, would take the cake on this one, mainly because they're bigger and they generally have like bigger weapons. Like where a Knight would have like a plasma cannon, or a Dreadnought would have like a plasma cannon, a Knight would have like a thermal cannon or something like that. So generally, I see the Knights coming out on top, even though Knights are piloted by just regular humans, and obviously Dreadnoughts are Space Marines, so you would think the Dreadnought would have the upper hand, but I feel like armament-wise, the Knight would take it. And maybe 8 out of 10 times.
I agree. Maybe not 8 out of the 10 times, but I agree that the Knight would be better. Next question. It's not really a question, but it's a statement, and I want to talk about it by State of Mind. He says, the Alpha Legion doesn't get enough love. GW needs to use the Primarch data the Alpha Legion stole from the Raven Guard and have them build an independent faction like Alpharius wanted. What's interesting about the Alpha Legion is once you read their lore, the Alpha Legion Space Marines were not like the other Space Marines. Because they were the 20th Legion, they were the last Legion, they actually have different buffs. And because they went traitor, you don't really know what those buffs were or are. And it could be that because it's always funny to me to hear that like the Alpha Legion, which is the last Legion, is supposed to be better in the lore than like the first Legion, which is the Dark Angels, who went traitor, and then you're saying that the Alpha Legion went traitor. I think that they truly are just a double agent within the chaos. And on top of that, they couldn't have gone traitor just because I feel like they're like the Grey Knights. They were supposed to be like the Grey Knights, but because of the what is it called, the Cabal, and like their whole thing, they were like, no, it's better that we secretly are good and bad. Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. GW has a lot of potential there with the Alpha Legion. Hopefully they don't mess it up. Next question.
Kyle Hernandez. How many orcs grow out of a dead orc when the dead orc spreads the orc spores?
It doesn't. The lore doesn't really say. I would say that thousands of spores get released, but out of those thousands of spores, probably like 1 or 2 orcoid beasts would come out of it because they fight with each other. It might even be more than 1,000 spores because the spores compete with each other.
Yeah. Think of them as mini orcs fighting amongst themselves, kind of like sharks would do in the womb.
Exactly, and then only one shark comes out on top.
The mega shark.
Next question.
This one's by the homie Rodney Stillwell. Is there penicillin in 40K? Because we all know gonorrhea is nothing to clap about. Yeah. I would assume so. I mean, medicine is still a thing. They still practice, like, medicinal stuff. So I would assume penicillin should still be around. Seeing how helpful it is currently should still be helpful, with Nurgle running around.
Except when the superbugs come out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about all those bacteria that are that antibacteria doesn't do anything to them? We're all gonna die. Thanks to overprescribing things like penicillin and also Nurgle. Next question. I got one from... That doesn't make sense.
I got one.
Mm-hmm.
This one is by All Might, and he asks, if the Emperor were to be resurrected right now, do you think more people would be for or against this, and why?
I think most people would be against it just because they would get screwed over. All the higher-ups would get screwed over because now the Emperor has returned.
Right, but isn't that what they're ready for? Like, this whole time, they've been planning for the Emperor to come back, right?
No, they haven't been planning. I think that's why, the Imperium is stagnating, because they just believe that he protects, but they don't really believe that he's going to come back. He's not a Jesus figure in that way. Even if, if you believe the story, and, Jesus did come back, is there really a plan? Do Christians have a plan?
I don't think so. I mean,
I
guess
okay.
being not sinning and going to church and all that's their plan.
Yeah,
we're good, religion followers. I don't know. What about players? Do you think they'd be for it or against it? No model, just in the lore, he's back.
No, I think there'll be a strong there'll be a strong group of people, a loud group of people on the internet that would be mad. Because that's what happens with the Primaris, right? When the Primaris came out.
I think anything new that comes out, there's always going to be that majority that's no, not this. This is the way it should be.
Yeah, I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast with, what's his name? The comedian... Say it with your chest. What's that guy?
Oh, Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart, and they were talking about how people are just so quick to jump on the negative. If you bring up a movie, someone's just sitting there waiting for it to bash the movie, even if it's a great movie. He made the example of the Titanic. I've never seen the Titanic.
What?
Yeah, I've never seen.
You've never seen it?
No. Nor do I want to.
I'm not saying it's something you have to watch, but
right.
I thought it's a classic.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I think that's the same thing with the Emperor coming back. If the Emperor came back, that's awesome. We get a new model. We get an advance in the lore, but there's going to be that one group of people who are just in the back just waiting to bash this. Because that's just the way humans are.
Yeah.
But yeah. Last question. Pineapple asks, could you do a poll or something for the battle with somebody?
Oh,
for
yeah.
a battle with somebody?
Basically the Grimdark battles. I'm going to start that up again, and I think the first one, returning to it, would be good if you guys picked it. So stay tuned for the Facebook post. I'm just going to say, pick your battle, and whatever characters come up the most, like whatever you guys comment the most, I'll pit them against each other. So it could be Gretchen against a Catan. So it's whatever you guys decide.
Yes. And those were the questions for today. Thank you for sending those questions our way. If you guys have more questions for us, comment down below. Don't forget we have a Patreon. $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys. And thanks.
Yeah, like I said, we've got that Twitter going on, we got the Facebooks going on, and you got us going on.
Yeah.
So this is the Sound Alchemist,
Gershwan.
and we are out.
Oh, I used to put my